Hello everyone, welcome back to First Friday Fives. I'm your host Sean, and this month I wanted to make a list that was suggested by a viewer when we did our top 5 50s. Sadly, I don't remember the name of the person who suggested this, so please forgive me. But that suggestion was the top 5 45 caliber handgun cartridges. After all, there is no caliber more synonymous with the term big bore than the 45, and there is certainly no shortage of them either. While many of these are obsolete, rare, purely wildcats, there are still plenty of solid cartridges to choose from. So here are the rules for our choices. First, the cartridge must be a handgun cartridge. Sure, there are rounds out there that have been chambered in some revolvers like the 4570 and the 450 Bushmaster, but they are rifle rounds and are disqualified. Secondly, we're only ranking the cartridge itself, so being able to shoot other rounds in guns chambered for it is not being considered in this list. And finally, they are being rated in this list in regards to how well we feel they are suited to their intended purpose or purposes. Please keep in mind that there is a good deal of subjectivity in that last rule, so this is heavily influenced by personal preference and can most certainly be disputed. Please feel free to do so in the comment section. With that said, let's see our 45s. Number 5, the 460 Rowland. First being offered as a conversion to a standard 45 auto pistols in 1998, the 460 Rowland cartridge was designed to give a shooter 44 Magnum power from a standard-sized pistol. This was accomplished with a cartridge that has stronger brass and a 1/16 of an inch longer casing, but retains the same overall cartridge length as a 45 auto cartridge. The extra bit of brass is to ensure a 460 Rowland cartridge is not able to be chambered in a 45 auto barrel. And for good reason. While the 45 auto has a maximum pressure of 21,000 psi and the plus P rounds go to 23,000 psi, the 460 Rowland gets its extra punch by raising the pressure all the way up to 40,000 psi. That's 12,000 psi over the 45 Super and equal to a 45 Winchester Magnum. And with all that extra pressure, the question is if they achieve the power levels they were hoping for. In short, yes. The 460 Rowland delivers their slogan of hitting like a sledgehammer by producing loads with 185 grain bullets up to 1,575 feet per second, 230 grain bullets up to 1,350 feet per second, and 255 grain hard-cast bullets up to 1,300 feet per second. While the 45 Super wanted to up the game of the 45 Auto, the 460 Rowland takes the game to the limit, all while in the same size as a normal 45 Auto pistol. But that doesn't mean it's perfection. While the 460 Rowland unquestionably is comparable to many 44 Magnum loadings, a 44 Magnum revolver is still capable of outperforming it by quite a bit. But it still has performance aplenty for hunting large North American game and defending yourself against such animals, which is the main point of the cartridge. The 460 Rowland is usually sold as a conversion kit, which will require a much stiffer recoil spring and a heavily ported or compensated barrel. This allows the gun to keep a safe lock time in the chamber. That adds some length and perhaps a touch of weight to the gun. Not a deal breaker necessarily, but you will need to make a little extra room. The compensator and extra spring weight do an excellent job of taming the felt recoil, which is always appreciated. But as with any conversion, each individual gun is a little different and might need a little tweaking here and there to achieve reliable functioning. Gratefully, 460Rowland.com has a lot of this covered for you. However, unlike the 45 Super, you can't convert any 1911 as some of them aren't heat treated well enough to handle the abuse. Convert a non-recommended pistol, and you could very well beat it to death. But along with 1911s, there are conversions for many other guns too. You can convert the Glock 21 and 30, the FNX, the Smith & Wesson M&P, and the Springfield XDs and XDMs. If you want a stock firearm from the factory in 460 Rowland, your only option is the Wilson Combat Hunter. Excellent quality for certain, but at a base price of $4,100 at the time of this video being made, few will be able to afford it. The 460 Rowland provides great amounts of power in a compact, reasonably recoiling, and mostly affordable package, but it isn't as over-the-counter friendly as the next four, which leaves it at number 5. Number 4. The 45 Colt. After 146 years, the 45 Colt still makes the top 5. That's pretty damn impressive. Designed for the United States military in 1873 for the new Colt single-action army, the 45 Colt originally was meant to be used as a sidearm cartridge for self-defense, and the 45 Colt really did measure up to the needs of the day. A black powder cartridge originally, the 45 Colt would launch a round-nosed lead bullet weighing 255 grains at about 1,000 feet per second. No question, this easily stopped opponents from continuing an attack. and as a cartridge people came to rely on for hunting game and defending their lives against dangerous animals in the frontier of the United States, it earned its reputation for doing its job well. While modern smokeless powder will require the pressure to stay around 14,000 psi, you still get good terminal performance from this round, and manufacturers like Ruger, Smith & Wesson, Taurus, Magnum Research, Freedom Arms, and many others offer modern guns in this caliber. Need more power than a standard .45 Colt? There are some factory firearms that can handle +P loadings, giving the old workhorse 44 Magnum comparable power. And having a custom gunsmith make you a 5-shot conversion in .45 Colt can get you within striking distance of the monstrous .454 Casull. Seriously, there's a lot that can be done with the .45 Colt. So why did it only make number 4? Well, even though it's often underrated, the fact is that the .45 Colt is unfortunately outdated. With many firearms out there based around the original specifications and pressures of the now completely obsolete black powder propellant, most firearms are not capable of handling anything stronger than what the original cartridge was designed for. And shooting the +P loadings does carry some risk, along with having to seek out a specialized manufacturer like Buffalo Bore, Underwood, Corbin, or GRIZZLY Cartridge Company. It also isn't cheap to shoot. Even the standard power ammo becomes pricey and much more difficult to find when compared to modern rounds. Reloaders can certainly bring down the cost of the ammo, but that's a hobby that's not for everyone. A great cartridge it may be, and a legendary one to boot, but it is, sadly, past its prime. Number 3. The .460 Smith & Wesson Magnum. Here is the highest velocity, most powerful, and longest brass casing having .45 offered in a handgun. Designed in 2005 by Smith & Wesson, this cartridge was made to be the highest velocity cartridge a handgun can shoot by taking advantage of the long cylinder on the X-frame. The brass is 1.8 inches long, making it a little shorter than the .4570 cartridge by 3/10 of an inch. And with the same pressure ceiling as the .454 Casull and the .500 Smith & Wesson Magnum, a lofty 65,000 psi, this monster can create incredible velocity and monstrous muzzle energy. In fact, the power levels between it and the mighty .500 Smith & Wesson Magnum are razor thin. And the goal of this cartridge? Hunting and defense against large, dangerous game. And it does both very well. The high velocities produced offer flatter trajectories, increased range, and impressive terminal performance on game. I've been personally surprised by how many hunters like this cartridge and how effective it is with the right loadings. You can launch a 200 grain bullet at an impressive 2,200 to 2,300 feet per second, and Corbin offers a 395 grain hardcast bullet at 1,525 feet per second. Between those two extremes, there isn't much of anything a hunter couldn't effectively harvest with this brute. While the .500 Smith & Wesson Magnum is the ultimate blunt force trauma handgun hunting cartridge, the .460 Smith & Wesson Magnum is the swift sword that cuts through its targets with intense speed. But all of that power and velocity will cost you in more ways than one. The ammo is right up there with .500 Smith & Wesson Magnum for ammo costs, and even as a reloader, new brass is incredibly expensive. This is also the loudest handgun cartridge I have ever heard. And author Max Persak said the same thing in his book Big Bore Revolvers. Every time I shoot this cartridge at the range, I turn around only to find I have attracted at least 3 people who were curious as to what the loud report was all about. And that also means lots of recoil. Smith & Wesson's muzzle brakes are very effective at damping the recoil, as is the X-Frame's hand-cramping weight, which is another concession you'll have to make. Available only in the oversized Smith & Wesson X-Frame and the long-frame Magnum Research BFR, there is no such thing as a packable .460 Smith & Wesson Magnum. Sure, there are shorter-barreled X-Frames, but they're still huge, and in my mind, you're going to sacrifice all of that great barrel length that will increase your velocity. For delivering 4570 +P power in a handgun while being as impractical as putting a milk pail under a bowl, the .460 Smith & Wesson handgun stops at number 3. Number 2. The .45 Auto. This cartridge nearly made the number 1 spot. Let's face the facts, this cartridge is almost as old as the .45 Colt, harkening back to 1905. But being designed for a semi-auto handgun and with smokeless powder gave it a serious advantage over its longer-cased brethren. And after 114 years, this round is still regularly being used for its original sidearm self-defense purpose. It's still carried by some law enforcement agencies, some military units, and many civilians. Yours truly included. I love my Glock 21 and Glock 30. This cartridge shows that short, fat, and slow can be very popular. With ball ammo, this cartridge was able to get the job done, and with modern ammo, it gets even better. And despite its caliber, the ammo is much more affordable than any of the other cartridges on this list. That means more time at the range for fun, and for competition too. But no cartridge is perfect. The .45 is starting to show its figurative gray hair. While it remains effective, the diameter of the bullet will reduce magazine capacity and require a larger pistol than other self-defense calibers like 9mm, .357 SIG, and 40 Smith & Wesson. And it isn't the only cartridge that gets the job done well. If we talk about revolvers as well, or the ever-awesome Kuhn 1911, the .357 Magnum has a very solid reputation too. And the 10mm provides more capacity with excellent terminal performance as well. And a bigger pistol often means more weight, and larger bullets means heavier ammo. If you've ever carried a .45 auto all day with 2 spare magazines, you know what I'm talking about. Carrying my Glock 21 with 2 spare mags, totaling around 40 rounds of 230 grain ammo, it gets tiring, trust me. But despite its setbacks, the .45 auto performs its job well, even after more than a century. It just doesn't do it as well as our number 1 cartridge. Number 1. Drum roll, please. The .454 Casull. When it comes to measuring up to performing the task it was designed for, the .454 Casull really gets just about as close to perfect as a .45 can get. And it also provides versatility with that function that can really make a shooter's or hunter's day. Designed in 1957 originally and becoming legitimate in 1983, it's been around the block. The original purposes of the cartridge were to provide enough power to hunt or protect yourself from any large, dangerous North American game. And it does both very well, and has been used to hunt pretty much anything walking this earth today. Being essentially a longer version of the .45 Colt case, with pressure maxing out at 65,000 psi, the .454 Casull produces intense muzzle energy while still maintaining a normal-sized revolver. The first firearm to be chambered in it is the Freedom Arms Model 83, which is a 5-shot, beefier version of a Colt single-action Army. Sure, it's a tad bigger and heavier, but still very carry-friendly. The other options for it today, the Ruger Super Red Hawk, Ruger Super Black Hawk Bisley, Magnum Research BFR, and Taurus Raging Bull, are barely any bigger than your standard .44 Magnum chambered revolvers. They may not be small or conceal-friendly, but on a hip or in a shoulder holster, they are practical. And for those who find full power loadings to be too recoil-laden, there are load offerings out there that dial it back a bit, but still provide ample performance for hunting and woods defense. Like the other 4 cartridges on this list, the .454 Casull is not without its drawbacks. The most noticeable is its recoil. In a standard-sized firearm, it is brutal. There's no other way to put it. It punches your palm, whips your wrist, and pushes your arms upwards all at once in a way that few other cartridges can really compare with. It is the price you pay for performance of this kind in a practical size. And the ammo, while more readily available than the .460 Rowland or even the .460 Smith & Wesson Magnum, is still pretty rare and very expensive. It's a great round for reloaders as it brings the cost way down and allows you to choose the performance and recoil you prefer. And the price of the limited options in firearms ranges from a little steep to, if you have to ask, you can't afford it. But when it comes to performing the task it was designed for, along with versatility, practicality, and overall value for money, the .454 Casull really is the number 1 .45 caliber cartridge that you can buy. So let's do a recap, shall we? Number 5, the .460 Rowland. 44 Magnum power in a .45 auto-sized package. Number 4, the .45 Colt. Outdated, but still versatile and still effective. Number 3, the .460 Smith & Wesson Magnum. The ultimate in handgun power and handgun size. Number 2, the .45 Auto, because it's never stopped kicking ass in over 100 years. And number 1, the .454 Casull, perfectly performing its tasks while maintaining practicality. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the list. If you did, please give us a like and subscribe for more content. Do you agree with the 545s we chose for this list? How about their order? Let us know what you think in the comments section, as we love hearing from you guys. And remember, go big bore or go home.